This week we're looking at a fascinating passage, both from the standpoint of structure and content. It's in Philippians chapter 3. We're looking at verses 18 and 19, and the ESV treats this as two sentences, but in the Greek it is one long sentence, verses 18 and 19. Let's read them in the English from the ESV. For many, of whom I have often told you, and now tell you even with tears, walk as enemies of the cross. Their end is destruction, their God is their belly, and they glory in their shame, with minds set on earthly things. So our primary focus is in verse 18, which is the first half of the Greek sentence. So let's take a look at the whole thing, and then we're going to break it in half and come back to the two different parts. Poloi gar peripatousen, hus polakis elegon humin, nunde kai klaion lego, tus ekthrus tu stauru tu Christu. Now, before we deal with anything regarding translation, I want to point this out. The subject of our sentence and its main verb are in the first three words of the verse. But then there's an editorial comment in the middle, and then what we need to know about the subject is the last six words. So what I want to do is I want to pull the editorial comment out. We'll look at the heart of the sentence, and then we'll take a peek at the editorial comment. Jumping out of the whole verse for a moment, let's just look at the subject and the important part of it. Poloi gar peripatousen. Poloi, many, gar, for. So for many, peripatousen, they walk or they are walking. Tus ekthrus, who are enemies, to stauru tu Christu, of the cross of Christ. So, for many are walking who are enemies of the cross of Christ. That's the heart of the sentence. That's the really important part. Keep that in mind. Let's take a quick look at the editorial comment in the middle, and then we'll come back to what really matters here today. Hus polakas elegon humin. So elegon, I was saying, humin, to you, whose, of whom. So like of whom I spoke or was speaking, polakas, many times to you. I've talked to you guys about these people many times. Nunde, and now, kai, even, klaion, while weeping, lego, I say to you. So what's the editorial comment? First he tells us there are many people walking who are enemies of the cross of Christ. And about these people I've spoken to you many times, and I'm speaking to you now even while crying about these people. They are such a problem, they're such an issue in the church that he says, I talk about them regularly and it brings me to tears. And why does it bring him to tears? Because these people, their end is destruction, their God is their belly, they glory in their shame, and their minds are set on earthly things. That's pretty significant. Their mind is set on earthly things. So let's go back to what really matters here. Poloi gar peripatousen, there are many who are walking. We already have that part, right? And what do we know about them? Tus ekthrus, who are enemies. These people are enemies. Ekthrus is the plural of ekthros. It means someone who is hostile, an enemy, or someone who hates you. But here, what are they enemies of? To stauru, of the cross, to Christu, of Christ. They are not enemies of the person Jesus of Nazareth, right? It's not that they dislike this guy Jesus. It's not that they're the enemies of the notion that Jesus is the Messiah. It's not that they are opposed to the idea of a Messiah in general. It's very specifically a hostility, an enmity, a hatred of the cross of Christ, says Paul. Why? because a Christ without a cross and a subsequent resurrection, not just a nice Jewish guy who tends to root for the underdog, right? That's all he becomes. From the earliest days, there have been advocates for a crossless Christ. They're looking for a moral teacher, a reforming rabbi, a holy empathizer, a nice guy, someone who is kind and gentle to people. There's a prevalent ad campaign today calls "He Gets Us," right? It's a Christ without a cross. It's a Jesus who loves you just the way you are and wouldn't change a thing. Is just happy to know that you're happy. And that's always been a problem. There's another kind of problem that Paul referred to when he said their minds are on earthly things. In the days of Jesus and shortly thereafter, people were looking for a Messiah who was a political and military leader who would lead Israel to national greatness, kick out the Romans, establish a kingdom that is powerful and immune from hostility from outside forces. But the Jesus who came into the world as the Christ and who went to the cross and to the tomb and was resurrected has a cross that's all about sin, sacrifice, atonement, and sanctification. Not about empathy or just about reform, not some toothless hippie Jesus who loves you just the way you are and intends to leave you just the way you are. The enemies of the cross of Christ, those who are hostile to Christ as a savior from sin, are, as according to Paul at least, a danger to the church that's worthy of frequent talk with weeping. What's the problem with these folks? They only care about earthly things. They only care about their belly. They only care about the life that they're living here and now. And they're not concerned with sin and righteousness and atonement and sanctification. A crossless Christ is just a nice Jewish guy who likes you just the way you are and plans to leave you there and makes Paul weep. Hope that was interesting for you. If it was, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Give me some feedback in the comments. And until next time, Karis Kai Rene Humin, grace and peace to you.